Obviously disappointing game for us, disappointing loss. I think, a credit to our guys is despite 4 turnovers, despite having a touchdown call back, despite having a field goal block that went the other way for a score, we were still in the game and had a chance to possibly win it at the end. They had the ball on the last drive, third down, a pass along the sideline. They called interference that kept that drive alive for them and kind of killed our last hopes of trying to make a comeback win. So, mixed feelings on it. Obviously, we didn't play well enough to get the win. Certainly was technique was missing in some cases, drop balls, some things have popped up that we haven't had problems with in other games. So it was kind of like the perfect storm to some degree hit us, but some of that was, caused by ourselves, certainly, in terms of our play. And so we need to get those things corrected and then move forward.
Nathan Rourke did a lot of good things. He also had the 4 turnovers. Is it an aberration? Is it something that's got to be obviously got to be corrected? But how would you assess the 4 turnovers on Nathan's part? And did you ever think about bringing Quentin in just to change things up on Saturday?
Well, not all those turnovers were his fault. Half of them, obviously, I think he had 2 ball technique maybe errors in terms of when he scrambles, you don't want to take his scrambling ability away. And because he's made an awful lot of big plays scrambling, finding receivers open, hitting them at the last second. He's made a lot of big plays by scrambling, not seeing a receiver open and then just running. So you don't want to discourage him or take that away. But obviously, when you're scrambling, you need to have 2 hands on the ball. When you're ready to penetrate the line of scrimmage and turn it into a run and play for you, then you need to get the ball tucked away. So those are areas that he's got to improve on. A couple of those were not his fault. And so it wasn't like you just slap him with the 4 turnovers. But it's what it is. Those added up. Certainly, you look at points on turnovers. They only had 7 points off of 4 turnovers. But what they did gain was great field position. They had 10 more yards of, I think it was something like 39.9 to 29.9 in terms of average field position, which is huge in a game like that. There are other things, obviously, that add to the field position, especially your special teams and that kind of stuff. But the turnovers added to it immensely. And you look at it, you find the areas you got to correct, get better at. Players got to look at that also, and then we move on. There's a lot of football to be played. Obviously, you don't want to lose games in your conference. You don't want to lose games, period. But conference loss can hurt you in other ways, and so they're critical. So we got to get back to getting on the road and playing good football on the road.
Just to follow up, was there any discussion about whether it was a series or a quarter, giving Nathan a break on Saturday? Once a couple of those turnovers happened back to back.
No, it wasn't a thought process that caused us to make the change. I'm not saying we didn't consider it. Not saying that and looking at the big picture as far as Nathan and what he was getting done in the game, I think we had 5 passes dropped. If you catch your share of those 5 passes, that makes it a little different ball game. And so there was a lot of blame to go around, and so we just stayed with him.
Did you have a chance to go back and look at the targeting call on film and along those same lines, the interception return? I thought there was a pretty obvious call that could have been made on that play as well. Did you examine either of those?
Examine both of them.
What were some of your conclusions that you drew?
Well, by the book, I think it was probably targeting, but certainly unintentional targeting. I mean, the ball the guy with the ball was no further off the ground than that. He was twisting as our guy was coming in. So, what do you do? Unless you can detach your head from your shoulders and put it on your back, you're going to have a shot maybe of targeting. And so, that's what that one is. The other one is close. I do feel like there was 2 blocks that occurred on our guy at the same time. One possibly targeting, the other one we believe a clip in the back. But it's what it is.
Do you have any update on Poppy White's status for this week?
Yeah, he's questionable for this week.
And then,
He'll be about midweek. He'll be practicing.
and just another question, I guess, in terms of, allowing the passing yards that you've allowed this season in terms of the defense. The past 5 games, it's been 319 passing yards. How do you think that you can improve upon that as you continue MAC play?
Well, we did do a few things differently last week in terms of our coverages in hopes that that was going to help. There were a few things we didn't stay with that, in looking back over your shoulder, you might say, well, maybe we needed to give this a little more of a try, or this a little bit more of a try. And but saying that, you just do what you think is best as the game is progressing. And so we're still examining that and still trying to come up with the correct answers for it.
You talked about Nathan Rourke's. Obviously, he can really run with the ball on the ground and has had a lot of success with that. Is there any consideration to maybe incorporating some more design runs for him and just sort of keeping the ball in his hands with, on the ground?
Well, he's already getting a lot of contact in the game, some unwanted with being in the passing zone, drop back. We got sacked twice, which, is what it is. But he, did run the ball a fair amount. I don't think you want to just turn it into a run-oriented quarterback offense, especially if you're trying to get your quarterback through the season. You want to pick your opportunities. I thought we probably ran him about the right amount. You go over that, you're putting them out to risk of injury that much more. You go under that, you're probably not using them. So I thought it was about what we wanted to do with him going into the game. It came out the way we had hoped it would as far as him running the football.
And just with Julian Ross, is there an update on him?
Yeah, he's questionable also. Maybe I can list that as doubtful.
Okay. And he doesn't have the same practice timetable as Poppy for going in later in the week?
No.
Okay.
Coach, going back and looking at the film, you guys were successful for the most part on defense on 3rd down until those last 3 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
What were your takeaways from that, and how do you address that? Because overall, the defense played a good game except for those last 3 minutes.
Well, it's a 60-minute game, and so but I will say that our 3rd down percentage is very good, and so. Are you going to be great every game at it or really good at it every game? Probably not. There's going to be some times when the game's over and you look at the stats, you're going to say, well, we just didn't hit our mark in that area. And, the last couple drives, that was a critical time in the game. But, it wasn't the answer to the game. The answer to the game was to play much better through the first 4 3/4 quarters in order to get the win. And I still think, in some regards, it's a tribute to our football players in that they were able to be in that game at the end with 4 turnovers, a touchdown call back, and I'll just keep repeating it all, blocked field goal that gets returned for a touchdown. You don't find that combination of things happen to you very often, and when you do, you don't win.
Just focusing, one player, Wyatt Shulman, played for the first time all year. He had a sack, 5 tackles, and he didn't play till later in the second half. How big of an impact will he be, and will he play a much larger role this week against Bowling Green?
He held up well. There was question as to, would he get sore as the game would progress, and doing all the sharp cutting for the first time. He's worked out. He's been practicing with us here lately, but getting in a game and being able to hold up that way, he's kind of a little bit of a miracle man in that regard. He's come back really, really fast, and and to the point where you'd say, well, he's probably going to swell up after this practice. Well, he didn't swell, and he's every time I ask him, he says, "I'm great," and so that he seems to be over his injury, and ready to play.
Just to follow up on Bowling Green, what facets of the game are you going to have to focus in on that Bowling Green does very well?
Well, they've kind of come alive a little bit. I'm sure, that was a huge win for them against a very, very good Miami football team. So their confidence level is shooting through the roof right now. And so obviously, we're going to be taking that on. I think they've got a very good running game. They got 2 to 3 really good, really good running backs. One receiver had 117 yards. I think, was it a second receiver had something like 127 yards for them or something?
And a guy with 197 this week.
Or 197, that's what it was, yeah. 197 and 117, I think. And so obviously they're throwing the ball well, So you put those two things together, running the ball well, throwing the ball well, and you got a football team that's playing well at the moment.
Coach, your team bounced back really well after that loss against Purdue, came away with the 42-30 victory over Kansas. How do you reinstill that mindset going into Bowling Green against a team that's, like you said, has a lot of confidence with that win over Miami?
Yeah. Well, they've been a great team as far as showing up every day and practicing at a level that gives them a chance to win every week. So I expect that that'll be the case in this game. We've got really good leadership on this football team. They got goals. They want to accomplish those goals, and so they'll regroup and they'll set out to get that done. I like this football team in that area. They're really good at getting the big picture. They're a smart football team in that regard. What it takes to win football games, they know, and so they go about practicing that way.
And it seems the last couple of games you guys have kind of gone away from Cameron Odom a little bit. Has that just been him not being able to get open on routes, or are you looking for him to kind of step up more as we move into the middle of the season as one of those premier wide receivers?
Yeah, we haven't gone away from him. I wouldn't necessarily put it that way. Mm-hmm. Our offense is designed around guys being open and quarterbacks going through reads, and whichever guy is open, that's the guy we're getting it to. And you can try to force feed a guy with reps, but that's not generally been our style. When Poppy was healthy and playing, 9 touchdowns last year, obviously you want to make sure he gets his touches in a ball game, plenty of them. But we really feel good about our receivers in general. And so, right now we're not trying to get the ball to one specific receiver. We're just trying to get the routes going that are going to give our guys the best chance. Quarterback will go through his reads. Coverages will dictate who you go to, who you can't go to. Sometimes they'll run a coverage that is really doubling one guy. Everybody else is man-to-man. So that automatically takes you away from the guy being doubled. And so it comes down to all that as to how many guys get how many catches.
And then kind of taking a look at the rest of the Mid-American Conference, had that 7 overtime game this weekend between Western and then division rival Buffalo. What have you seen kind of from that Buffalo Bulls team, a team that could be standing in the way of maybe getting to the MAC title game at the end of the season?
I haven't been able to study them yet. They're our last game. They're down the road. We'll have plenty of time to do that. I did catch them on TV early in the year, Minnesota, I believe it was. So, got a chance to see him a little bit. Lance is a really good coach, good friend of mine. He does a good job. His staff does a good job. So, generally they're a football team that keeps getting better and better. So we'll face them at the end when they're pretty good. In fact, they're pretty good right now, but they're really good, And, but, that's where we want to be, too. We want to be really good.
Coach, I'm doing a story on Cam Odom and Matt Seymour's friendship. I guess, how can, because they came in as early enrollees, how can you say?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, Cam Odom and
Yeah.
Matt Seymour's relationship, they came in as early enrollees.
Oh,
I
early
guess,
enrollees, okay.
yeah. How can you say their relationship has grown over since they've been here in the spring of 2016?
Yeah. Well, I'm not real sure, to be very truthful with you on it. I don't know how strong a relationship they have. I'm not aware of our guys and who they spend most of their time with and how that all works with our guys. Obviously I see them in bunches a lot, and kind of feel like, well, yeah, these guys are, pretty strong together. And but I'm not real sure about their relationship. But if you tell me it's a strong relationship, I believe you. You might be able to tell me more.
Yeah, they're roommates. So
Yeah.
I was just asking
Yeah.
if you knew anything.
Yeah, not really.
All right, thanks.
Frank, how would you describe the depth at defensive end right now, given Robin's targeting call and some of the injuries you've had there at this, through the first 6 weeks?
It's not great. Obviously we've been piecing that position together for a while, and at the start of the season we thought it was going to be a very strong position for us. Good players, good depth, but that's all been cut into, and it's been kind of piecemealed a little bit in terms of number of reps in the games for those guys with the injuries that have occurred. So, and guys really at times not being 100% getting playing time. So I think it'll get stronger for us as it goes along, and we start getting a few guys over their injuries and 100%, but right now, we're where we're at with that. We're still piecemealing it a little bit.
Do you have any idea who's your starter on Saturday then, opposite Trent?
Well, now that's a good question. We'll see how it goes through the first part of the week. Tuesdays and Wednesdays practice, and see who's healthy. That will determine a lot, and then obviously go with the guy that's find out who's available, and then go with the guy that's playing the best at this point in time. That's but right now, I don't know that I can tell you who exactly we're going to be using there.
On the offensive line, Darrell Wood got his first action of the year. He didn't play the second half. Is that a relapse with his injury that he's been fighting with? Will he be available moving forward?
That's a question as to whether that'll be the case. So we'll make some decisions on that this week.
Are you concerned, I guess, with some of the injuries of late at that position group? That's been your strongest group the first 5 weeks, and now some pieces are being taken away from that group. Are you concerned that they can hold it together and continue to do what they've been doing most of this first half of the season?
Offensive line?
Yeah, the offensive line.
Yeah. We've had to start moving guys around a little bit, playing different positions. Obviously, that's not what you're after. I think Hagan's injury maybe wasn't as severe as what we first thought. I think he'll be coming back quickly. Brett Kittrell has been getting playing time in each of the last 2 to 3 games, and so I think he's ready to contribute at a pretty high level. Jake's injury, I think, now is manageable. Jared, he's questionable for this game, and so that weakens us a little bit there in terms of depth, and so yeah, it probably was not as strong as what it's been all season going into this game, and don't know that we'll be much better in this upcoming game, but we'll see.
Austin Pleasance is a guy that a lot of people in this program are high on. He's played well at times, had a bad stretch of, 10, 15 snaps on Saturday. How do you get him past that, knowing that he's going to have to play big reps for you moving forward?
He is a talented guy. He's really done some good things since he's been in our program, scrimmages, sometimes snaps in a game. And so now it just comes down to confidence a little bit, and learning fast on the run. That's what you got to do. You just can't find yourself beating yourself up and over the same, over a mistake and then causing that to be a mistake again. You just got to move on. He's talented. He's athletic. He's got the size. He's got the movement. Don't let head games take you out of playing your best football. And I don't believe he'll do that.